Hi. Nice to talk to you both again. Hi, Bobs. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I watched all of season two. I'm an emotional wreck. Here we are. So, what was it like introducing humans to the WondLa universe?
Well, if the first season was about Eva mistakenly thinking that if I find humans, I found family, then the second book, as it is in the second season, is okay, here's a bunch of humans. Do you feel like you have a family now? What does that mean exactly? And so I think it's about the concepts of found family, of the people we have in our lives that mean just as much to us as our flesh and blood. And then I think it's the concept of just because we have flesh and blood, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see eye to eye, that we're necessarily going to agree. And that was important to me, 10, 15 years ago when I wrote the book, and it's pretty relevant, I would say, today as well. And it's also reflective, I think, of the overarching themes of all three books, which is in the first book, as it is in the first season, Eva kind of sees the world very black and white. You're a good guy, you're a bad guy. By the second book in the second season, it becomes more morally ambiguous and will continue to do so in the third season, where she has to make some tough decisions.
Yes. In the very beginning, Eva lives a pretty solitude life, but once she's around more living beings other than mother, she actually adapts pretty quickly, but once she's in New Attica, she doesn't adapt as quickly to humans. For both of you guys, why doesn't she adapt as quickly to humans as she does to what the humans call aliens?
Tony, you can tackle that. I think tackle that one as well if you'd like.
Well, I think her yearning and her desire to have other people in her life makes her open to Rovender and Otto when she finds them in the first season, as it was in the books. I mean, you're truncating time because in a book I can take as much time as I want to make it complicated. She was agoraphobic in the original book. She was because she had been in the sanctuary for so long, and you just can't quite get all that when you're compressing it down into, the series. But I think she definitely had never been that's like a band of a few characters. She'd never really been in a full crowd city, a big city with, millions of people. And so that is it's wreaking havoc with her mentally. This is the thing you wanted so bad, and now you have it. And is this what you wanted after all? And now I think she's like doesn't want to say it at first. That like, oh, I got the thing, and wow, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel more at home with the aliens than I do here. That's that's just me working out some stuff as I think as a kid, because I often felt like I was the weirdo alien kid.
And you hit on it with home too. Like first season was really exploring family and found family versus, flesh and blood family. And then the second season, again, exploring many different things and going deeper into it, but overarching the idea of home. She's had this idealized vision of how it's going to be when she gets there. And then when she gets there, she wants it to work and she wants to connect, but for some reason, because of her experiences, it's difficult. And that's where the sort of like, I'll get there and I'll be happy. Season one is not it's not that easy. And as she matures and grows, she's going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, it's kind of like college. Like, I'll find my people. Not necessarily.
It's true. You have this idealized idea of what something's going to be, and then you get there, and it never is going to be that. And then but you have to adapt, and that's a that's a that's a growing up thing to do. You've
Yeah.
lived in a life where your world has been controlled, and not entirely, but in general, you lived up in an environment that's kind of a bubble, and now you've come out of the bubble, and you've got to learn how to navigate it. And like Tony said, in first season, it's kind of black and white, maybe the choices. And second season, it becomes much more gray. And we have episodes specifically designed to address this idea of you thought this, but it's not that, it's this.
Yeah.
And it's going to start to get more complicated.
Yeah. We see some familiar figures, especially from the early part of her life, like Muthr and Meego, but they're not the same at all. What was it like to play with these very familiar figures, but they're not the same, and they're kind of scary and unfamiliar to her in the sense?
I'll just tackle Mego. It was the most fun because here's your like favorite plush toy who becomes this sort of dystopian eyes of a world. I think the whole crew,
So
we're all
awesome.
having the most fun with, there's Mego watching from in the background.
Yes.
And
Yeah, he's right there. He's
uh,
already he's
so
always watching.
Mego was fun because we took a, this thing and we kind of discovered that along the way. I think that was one of the things where, hey, it would be fun if, and then it just kept getting more delicious as we went. But
Right. That was one of the things too, where you're like, we're coming up with that. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that in the book. Like, oh, I'm so like that was such a good idea. So good. And it works so effectively. It's just amazing.
But Muthr, I mean, but and and that was kind of fun, but then with Muthr, there's also the idea that, she lost her mother in first season,
Yeah.
and now there's a world where there's these mother like, you know, bots that exist, and she's, again, longing for loss, but she's got to move forward. I mean, my father passed away when I was young, when I was 12, and you have to sort of move on. And so she's being surrounded by that. She's seeing these images that are familiar, but it's time for her to grow up and be on her own.
Yeah. We meet 8, and people who've read the books know who 8 is. People who watch the show will know who 8 is. But do you think 8 is jealous of Eva's relationship with Rovi and Otto?
I mean, in the books, she absolutely is. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would say that it tracks fairly well on the show. I mean, she's gonna get and will continue to it'll be a deepening uh story behind 8 as we go further into the series than I was able to in the books, and that was incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of like the sort of shock that someone would connect with something that has basically, or comes from a world that has hurt her,
Yeah.
is something that's really challenging for her. And that's why I think Tony hit on it, where it's like, we're not saying good, bad, right, wrong. They both of their points of view are based in an experience, and
Yeah.
not in some sort of arbitrary desire just to have two people fight about something. It's based on where they are, just like Rovender's backstory is created who he is. And as Tony would say, we've all been created by the things that have happened to us. So that's where I think it's nice that the show isn't, it's a show for, can anyone can watch it and get a takeaway, because it's not an easy, we're not giving you easy answers. We're giving you things to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I have to chew on for a whole nother year. But that means I get to talk to you guys in a year.
All right.
Yes.
There it is.
So thanks so much. I can't wait to talk to you in the another year. Congratulations. And I will talk to you then and on future projects.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ariana.
Ariana. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.